The Belleville Area District Library January meeting will come to order. The first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The second item of business is no point in sitting down, folks. Dan, second order of business is swearing in of the members who were elected or re-elected in November. And we have one new member to be sworn in, and we are really blessed to have our own judge, Judge Lisa Martin. And what a nice pin she's gonna sparkle that drink. She's gonna sparkle. And did you want to change things around about the setup for the picture?
We might want to move the flag to that corner. I want to use a flash, but we're getting the glare off of the.
Linda, you're the flag bearer.
Yes, so.
Is it heavy?
It looks scary, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
For the
That's
first round,
valid.
it wasn't heavy, but it was tall. Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
and we will assemble. Over here.
Perfect. I can't hear without my glasses.
Mary Jane is the flag mover. Wow, so she's gonna have to keep coming back month
The
after
fluffer.
month to fluff the flag. And is there an order that we should be standing in? I don't think so.
Oh, not for
Two
me.
and two on each side.
I would suggest it balance out the picture.
Okay.
All righty,
Yes, yes. And we can let the flag be the background, so you.
so we come in front, and you gotta make sure
Do you want me somewhere else or?
you've gotta have the judge.
Yes, we do. By all means, you can stand right there, front and center. Yep, that.
Is that gonna work?
That would
You-
work.
They wanna see you, they don't wanna see me. You see me.
We need every other time the judge has been seen. Our
You
judge
know I am,
needs
right?
to be seen. And
He doesn't like taking pictures, probably.
do our hand.
We do, when you're ready,
When-
when start talking. Could you raise your right hands for me, please? Do you swear or affirm? Oh, this is not court, this is oath. Let's try it again. Repeat after me, please. I do swear or affirm.
I do swear
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of this state.
and the Constitution of this state.
And I will faithfully discharge my duties.
And I will faithfully discharge my duties
As a board member of the Belleville Area District Library Board.
as a board member of the Belleville Area District Library Board
In the city of Belleville.
in the city of Belleville,
In the county of Wayne.
in the county of Wayne,
In the state of Michigan.
in the state of Michigan.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And I have
I can be one with the judge and.
With the judge, so we can get our
Hold on,
spark.
let you sit. If you two just turn sideways a little bit, let the judge and. There we go, there we go. Okay, that's a Kodak. More.
Thank you.
And before you get
Thank
on,
you, the Phillips family. Yay.
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Before you get on to your next order of business, I have a small token from the court. I didn't know there were gonna be more people here than the board members, so I don't know how many I had on me, Mr. Jericho.
Thank you.
This is a coin that shows the outline of our new court building,
Oh,
and it lists the 5 communities.
how lovely.
Oh,
Oh, that's
nice. Thank you.
lovely.
And
Oh, yes.
oh, I think it's just enough for the board.
I didn't know you gave me this,
Tanya.
if it's the same thing. Is it?
Mary Jane, you already have the same thing.
That's cool.
Thank you.
That's very good. Well, we didn't know
Send my-
bearing gifts.
Where do you want me to sign?
Anywhere you want to put it.
The sign of the non-true.
Oh. You did really good, Lisa. Nobody brought us stuff before.
It's the least I can do for your service to the community, so thank you.
You're a good one. Now, actually, the next order of business, is just the roll call, and then I will vacate this.
That was a good idea.
Oh, that was smart. She brought her little certificate to be signed.
You have yours?
I don't have mine with me, but maybe I'll find the judge somewhere. That's a smart move. Thank you. That's a nice little. Tell the trustee we send our greeting
I will, thank you.
Thank you.
and rah the football.
Tell them next year.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Right.
Well, you can stay.
She can- Everybody
Oh,
can
she could.
stay.
But she said you'll be doing this for 4 years.
Yeah. That's right.
You have to- She'll watch you on TV.
Yeah.
We, the next item of business is the roll call vote. And I will call on our current secretary, Alma Hughes Scrubs. Goodbye, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're starting. Okay, do you have it? Here. Fleming.
Here.
Jerica.
Here.
Priest.
Here.
Peters.
Here,
Stoudemire.
Yeah.
And Hughes Gross, all present.
all present, this is our organizational meeting for 2023. Before I relinquish the chair, I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone in the room. It's a new year for us on this board, and it promises to be a very happy one. But for item 4, someone else is to run the thing. Mary Jo, are you the one? Yes.
Well, I think if someone would like to make a motion,
Madam Chair, I make the motion, the job of chair be assigned to Sharon Peters.
I second. I second.
Why are you looking at me?
I will accept.
Oh.
You have to do that. Don't you?
Are there any other nominations?
Yeah.
Maybe?
But I'm not supposed to call these.
are there any other nominations? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, congratulations.
Well, then I can take over the chair again. Thank you
Stay
for
where
This
your,
will be easier.
thank you for your vote of confidence, colleagues, and we hope to keep moving forward. Next, on our agenda is the item of the vice chair.
Madam Chair, I
Yes,
make the
John?
motion that Linda Priest be assigned vice chair.
I second the motion.
It's moved and seconded. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? And Linda, do you accept the
Yes, I do.
nomination? Good. Then, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. There are no opposing votes. And Linda, welcome. Linda is, this is a new office for us. You will surely do a great job. Now we are to the office of secretary. Oh. Will you please, I recognize John Jerica.
I recognize you. Madam Chair, I would like to nominate Alma Hughes Grubbs as a secretary.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that Alma Hughes Grubbs be our secretary. That means she will continue in a job she's already shining in. Are there other nominations?
This is where you're supposed to beg.
Alma, will you accept the nomination?
Yes, I will.
Oh, how wonderful. So, it's been moved and seconded for Secretary, Alma Hughes Grubbs for Secretary. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying nay. There are no opposing votes, certainly not. Alma, congratulations or condolences. Thank you for your service in this job where you have to keep notes and work the whole meeting.
Great job of it.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. And we have one more office for whom the treasurer, and I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that the chair of the treasurer be assigned to Tanya Stottlemyre.
Second that. It has been moved by Jariga and supported by Priest that Tanya Stottlemyre continue as our treasurer. And are there other nominations for treasurer? Thankfully for the community, there do not seem to be. The community is really well served by Tanya as our treasurer. Tanya, do you accept the nomination?
I accept.
Good. Well, then we're ready to vote this last office. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying no. There are no nay votes, so Tanya has been elected. Our entire slate or our entire list of officers is now filled, and I'm very happy that we are going to be able to go forward with such a good group of folks. Before we approve the agenda, I want to take a little preference of the chair. I was able to talk to everyone on the board before this organizational meeting, and I have made assignments for the committees. I hope there are enough. I think I have enough for the public as well. Is there enough for everybody? Here's another one to pass.
Okay.
They all have. We are welcoming our new member, Dan Fleming, and Dan Fleming has taken on the chairship of the policy committee to fill the shoes of Mary Jane Dawson. And Mary Jane Dawson is right here, so you can directly ask.
Really, lean really hard on hers.
Anything you need to.
Okay,
So there you go, that'll be a great help.
okay, yeah, we will.
I think in general, the other appointments are pretty much what we have been, what we've had in the past. But we are so glad to have Dan aboard, and we're glad to move along. So now we'll go back to the agenda, and we are at the item of approving the agenda. Make a motion to approve the agenda. Been moved by Chehevitz, supported by Stottlemyre, that the agenda be approved as submitted. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying no. The agenda is approved unanimously. We are now ready to approve our minutes from our last meeting, our December meeting, which was quite a gala event. And your minutes were in the packet, and you've had the chance to look at them in advance. If you'd like time to look at them again, it's fine with me, but at some point I'd like a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Jariga to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
And supported by Priest. So And the minutes, I looked them over and they look quite complete to me. Although we had a lot of fun last time, it doesn't show up in black and white on a piece of paper. So unless there's some questions or if anybody sees something that needs correcting. Hearing none, and all in favor of approving the December minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Saying no, there are no nays, therefore the minutes are approved as presented and it is a unanimous vote. And now we move into a few other things. Basically, we do have some members of the public here. And it's public comment time. So would the public like to comment?
Well, I would like to come.
Well, what a big surprise.
I would just like to thank those of you who ran for re-election for the board. I thank you for that. I think you're all really good. And I especially thank you, Dan.
I haven't done anything yet.
You're
here.
Yeah. I know you're
I'm
good.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know.
It's serving my community and certainly the help the
So I thank you.
library and
I thank you for joining the group.
thank you.
That's it.
Well, that's very good comment.
That's another public.
The other public member we'll hear from in a minute, I do believe, unless you have some general off the wall thing you want to say?
No, because the only comment I have on your membership committee, I'll ask when I give my little report,
Oh,
if that's okay.
oh, okay.
Or should I
Yeah,
ask
well,
them?
that's true. These are all board, oh, I see. You do have
Right.
these down here. Okey dokey. Yeah, we'll wait for that.
It's,
We will be receptive, I'm sure. Then that takes care of our public comment, and I thank the public for those comments. And now we are at our committee reports, and our very first committee report is the Arts Committee, and we will be hearing from Michelle Montour.
hello, my name is Michelle Montour, if you don't know me, and I'm the current, can I sit down to my?
Sure.
I am the current chair of the art committee for our library. And I just wanted to update the board on what's going on. I'm hoping that everyone had an opportunity to see our first artist exhibit, which just came down because the first thing that was hung was for the grand opening, which was construction of the library. So the first artist exhibit were the award winners from the Belleville area Council of the Arts exhibit last fall. And so they brought in their work and it was hung until the end of December and they picked up their work in the first week of January. So, yes, so that was pretty exciting. And from what I heard, it seemed that it was well received, that people were happy to see something different on the walls. And I know that the artists were quite thrilled to have their, especially the kids, they were great. They were like so excited to be in a gallery, you know. But what the other good thing that came out of it was that the artists that were displaying, they want to show their work here. So I have filled the calendar for this year. I'm very excited. And the calendar for 2024 is almost filled also. Because really, I think the plan, well, let me go through what I'm showing you, what we're going to have starting in February. We're going to hang it at the end of this month. Will be the Van Buren Secondary Student Exhibit from the 27th of April, 27th of January to April 23rd. And I met with the art teachers yesterday and they were so excited. It's like, it's gonna be good. So that's gonna be our next exhibit. Then from May to July will be Ed Good. And I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but that's why I gave you some examples here. He does a variety of work. And I think it's all appropriate for our gallery and our community. And then from, pardon me?
Is he a local artist?
I think he's out of Plymouth, but he's here, he's part of the Belleville Area Council of Arts. He's been a member for many years. And he participates in the pocket exhibit every year.
Oh,
So even though he doesn't live in Belleville or Van Buren, he is very involved, so.
And our director has some of his lovely work on her wall.
Yes. Is it Tanya?
Yes. On her wall.
So, and then, from August to October 15th will be a group they call themselves What? Which is women having artistic talent, and I showed a few of their, an example. So there, I think there's 12 members. So each person would be able to display like 2 pieces, but I would think this is a good representation of what, it'll probably be all 2D work, which is fine. And then the BACA is thrilled to have the award winners back in October. So what I'm recommending, and I have to talk to the art committee when we meet on the 19th, is I'd like that to be a standing exhibit, that after BACA has their exhibit, the winners are invited to come to the library. So it gives them an extra opportunity to show their work, and if people that didn't come to see the show can come here to the library to see the show. So that slot will be filled forever, which is great. So, and then what happened at this meeting with the art teachers yesterday, we were talking about having a reception, and they said, well, let's see how this goes, and going back and forth. And they said, well, let's wait till next year. And I said, so what months would you like to exhibit in 2024? So we already have 3 slots filled. So I have Gary Washington in January, which he's a photographer that exhibited, that won from the BACA exhibit. And I invited him, and he said he'll do January. And so it's like, I'm just so thrilled, you have no idea. I have 3 slots filled. I only have to get 1 more filled, and we're done for 2024, and then I can work on 2025, you know, and it's gonna be the place that people want to show their work. You know,
Isn't she wonderful?
you know, so I'm like,
I've got a suggestion, if you need one more.
okay,
The quilters in this community meet here.
Yeah.
Correct?
They still do.
And they usually have a quilting exhibition at the museum,
right.
and the museum's been closed over 1,000 days now. And it would be perfect if we can invite them.
If there's a person that you can give me their name that I can contact, hanging quilts is different
I
than
know.
hanging
I
2D,
realize
and,
that.
okay,
Yeah.
that I would have to talk to them about how to do this,
Yeah.
you know, because it's usually it's just different.
I
It's just
understand.
different. Yeah, but yes, they could take that last slide. So I have other artists in waiting right now. I just want to let
Okay,
you know.
good. Thank you.
In fact, someone had approached somebody at the library to ask to exhibit her work, and I don't know her. She's a budding artist, and so I called her, and she explained her work to me, and I told her that I already have a couple of artists that are interested in exhibiting the next couple of years, that she might have to wait till 2025, you know. But the way that our committee is working is that we require them to submit some images of their work and maybe an artist statement, just so we can make sure it's appropriate for the general public, that's all. Not that we would, you know, we just want to make sure it's good for the general public, but anyway, I'm very excited, if you can't tell. So, just the fact it's working out, but yeah, John, that's a great suggestion. If we can figure out how to hang it properly,
Sure.
then I think it would be great, but if it, depending on how many, because a lot of quilts are big.
Very big.
So we might only be able to display maybe 6, you know, or
Yeah.
maybe 8 tops, so, and it depends on how we.
Well, you look into it, yeah. Be doing smaller art quilts.
Unless they did something
Yeah.
smaller, right, then it would, yeah, right, exactly.
And then this is discussion, almost everything that you're suggesting does need to be ratified by the
The committee, yes, the committee went over this past year, like for Ed, and like I did the same thing for them. I emailed everybody images, and I said, any objections, you know, any comments, and everybody was like, yep, this looks good for our library, so it's like, okay. And that's pretty much how we handle it. If somebody has concerns, they need to express them, and then it'll be discussed. And if there are concerns, then, you know, then I'll have to tell the artists that at this time, we just aren't able to display their work, that's all, you know.
You said January and of next year before is
January
Gary Washington.
of 2024 will be Gary Washington. And then it will be the students again after that for 3 months. Then I have an open slot in the summer for 3 months. And then it will be the Waka winners.
So we'll have some regulars.
So when you say, May to July, who's doing that one?
It is.
No, next
No,
year.
next, for 2024, January to March is Gary Washington. April through June will be the student show.
Oh, okay,
And then
okay,
it's 3 months.
January to March.
It would do 3 months.
Okay.
And then, July to September. And what I foresee too, this could happen, that let's say something you go so far in advance that this is pretty normal for, galleries to go like 2 years out or whatever. And if something happens where, the artist might not have enough work to display or something where they're, whatever circumstances, then you reach out to the other artists that are the following year and say, invite them to come in earlier. So that's another reason why I want to get this, I really want to get a big roster. So that if we have somebody that, that something happens and they're just not able to, they sold all their work, good for them. But then, they can't, but I'd be able to reach out and say, oh, Mr. Smith, we have an opening now in, early spring of 2025. Can you bring your work earlier if you don't have another show going on?
In the past, Doug Peters has always been an integral part of our art in this structure
Right,
and a big help.
right.
He's done hundreds of paintings.
Oh, I know.
You've seen them.
Oh, yeah.
I have too. They're amazing.
Mhm.
And can we consider some of his work?
I've already approached him and he's a little hesitant.
He does a show in New York City, I know that.
Right, right.
But
Yes, I've already approached him.
he's very
and
private, I know that.
I
He's
asked him,
demurred, but if, at some point, I'm hoping that maybe you can work on him too, because his work is wonderful, but he has been. I've
he's
discussed it.
very humble and he said he would consider, but he wasn't committing.
Yeah.
So I didn't push him because we were just, this was like last year, so I didn't want,
Yeah.
And I was so thrilled that I got,
Yeah, that's amazing what you've done.
you know what I mean? So it's like, wee-hoo, so anyway. So that's what's going on with the gallery.
I have one question.
Oh,
Two
sure.
questions. Will the artists get to sell their work?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, they can sell their work and it is between the artist and the buyer. I would be the person, the contact person to go in between, so the library staff does not have to handle any of this. That if somebody wants to purchase something, they would get my phone number, call me and say, oh, I want to buy this, blah, blah, blah. And then I will contact the person, get them to talk to each other and
There's
they
no
make.
prices on the work or anything.
There was, yes, there
Okay.
were prices, yes. Yeah,
Did
there
we
were
have
prices.
sales that occurred?
There were no sales, but I don't think our public's untuned to that yet.
Yeah,
At the art exhibit, they are accustomed to purchasing the pieces while they're seeing the exhibit. But coming into the library and having a gallery, I don't think it's,
maybe we can make some announcements about it at the at the Baca exhibit and, just make it more known that it's
well, I think as
possible.
we go forward,
Yeah.
it'll be more common knowledge. And then I think when the public gets used to seeing a title card and there's a price on it, then they'll understand, oh, this is for sale.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, it's a NFS, so, and it's educating the public also in that regard.
Another thing, we have display cases. Have we ever thought about three-dimensional art pieces?
question.
Yeah, the students will have, in fact, we should have at least 22D and 30 3D pieces from the students.
I'm thinking about ceramics, smaller ceramics.
Yes, of course, yes.
Okay.
And then I think Ed has 3D pieces that he might want to display.
Okay.
I mean, when he, he does a variety of things. Yes. Yeah, that's another thing that we would, that I'm trying to make sure that it gets mixed up a little bit. It's not all just 2D, not all just oil, not just all acrylic, not all, that there's a variety of works like maybe glass work, but that's heavy, just, getting a variety, I'm excited like for Gary next January, photography. Straight up photography, I think he does black and white only, which which I think it will be a interesting exhibit, you know? So.
I have a question,
Sure.
and I don't even know if she would be interested, but, and that's about Noel,
Yes,
who's on the board, and I know
Yes.
she's very.
she's very talented.
Oh,
Very
is she
talented.
eligible to
Oh, absolutely.
exhibit?
Yes, you know. Yes, we're very, I think the committee was created to be open to a variety of artists. I mean, that was and like I say, not necessarily local, but local enough. Someone that's involved in the community, or maybe bring somebody in. Well, like, I don't even know where Gary lives, to be honest with you, but he was part of the Baca exhibit. So to me, that's kind of.
knows where Belleville is.
He knows where Belleville is. He won, I think he won second place, and, you know, I was excited to exhibit, so. And, I mean, it doesn't always, it doesn't just have to be people right here.
Yeah.
You know, although we do have a nice variety of artists here.
Have I heard in the past that Doug Peters has a amazing photo of Muhammad Ali,
Yeah.
black and white?
Oh, that was the other thing, that was something, maybe, that's something I think he'd be willing to do. He would be willing to loan us, like his collection. I think he'd be willing to, but I don't know if he'd be willing to exhibit his work.
What he's got numerous collections.
He's got
He's
other
got like,
things like with the Muhammad Ali.
he's got that, and then he's got, I took some pictures. He's got some fiber art, he's got, like, I don't know, Rolling Stones, like things, I mean, he's just got all kinds of things that like very eclectic.
Yeah.
That it would be, that could be a good exhibit too, you know, which I'd need his help on because I wouldn't just,
Sure.
but I have photos in my phone, which is not, right now, I don't think it's appropriate to bring it up. But that would be an option too, because like I said, I'm not sure he's, I don't know, I'm not sure he's interested in displaying his work.
Yeah.
You know, but maybe, but he did offer to loan us, you know, would be a choice, and I'm gonna make a note of that, Jim, I mean.
You know, let's see, well, we don't have this kind of gallery space, but they use their community room too. For gallery space, so to speak.
When that building was just first built, I went to a couple shows there, exhibits. And that was how, one of the times, you know, because you guys use the locker system also.
Yeah.
You know, and it worked really well in that room.
Yeah,
So, and I think
if we have to expand,
nice.
maybe we go in the community room.
So that's what we're on for this year and the beginning of next year. Then I'd like to bring up the art committee terms, which nothing needs to be decided today. I just wanted to bring it to your attention and to your, and I see the policy committee. When the committee member policy was approved in 2017, the way it was structured was to have voting members like staggered between a 3-year term and a 2-year term. So there would be more turnover, so we'd have more input from a variety of people. But with COVID and everything, it kind of got all a little, we didn't meet, there was no, you know, I would just kind of get all, yeah, it was kind of good. But anyway, so what happened though is that part of the policy states that no one is supposed to serve more than 2 years, consecutive years. And we're at the point now that January of 2024, everybody would be new. Which I don't know if we want to do that or not, but, and Alma, I'm sorry. Alma, I put you in a bad position because you're in a 3rd term and no one was supposed to do a 3rd term. But we were in a bind of not, you know, like without getting another trustee taking your place. And remember, I asked you if you take a 3rd term and you said, sure. So.
Did I say that?
Yes, I have no. I can pull it out.
She recorded it.
Yeah, right.
Actually, Michelle, we are talking about the policies and we did mention that art committee policy, which was one that we worked on recently. But it has kind of stringent issues about the membership, and maybe that does need to be
Right,
revisited.
so,
To make it so that it'll work.
right.
To make it
exactly,
work.
because right now, I think it's really, it's just going quite nicely, in my opinion, you know, there's not that we can't swap out a couple people because now MJ's not a trustee anymore, which I asked you to stay on until January. So that's not in
Well,
with the policy.
Yeah, cause
You know what I mean?
that was the only reason I did something different about it on the board list, because I believe that policy says that 2 members have to be members of the board.
Right, so
Yeah.
I'm taking MJ's place then?
So John would be according to this list. I
Okay.
don't know if I really talked to John about that.
Oh.
John, you've been on to those meetings a lot.
Eliminate John.
Say, are you wanting to stay on?
If
But-
needed, I would stay on, but obviously I couldn't do it as a trustee, I'd have to be.
She'd be on there in another category,
well,
which I
it-
thought we were gonna do.
Right,
yeah.
which we invite people to be, you know, participate, they're just not voting members, that's all. On
Well-
whatever we're talking about, they can, we can discuss it, but then the bottom, you know, the voting members are the, you know, the 2 trustees, the 2 artists, the, you know, Mary Jo, friends, and then 1 DACA member. Those are the voting members.
And the policy, when we first did it, would have worked fine if it wasn't for the damn pandemic. That was
Right.
what threw everything
Right.
off.
Right.
You got,
So we're not planning on another one of those.
Well,
so.
but, Mary Jane is a member of the Friends, she's, you know, there might be different ways she could be on there, but technically, I think that's why for the trustees, I think you have to be still a trustee.
right,
But
so,
I was assuming that Mary Jane was gonna be continuing in some other way.
well, if you'd love to be part of the committee still, I'd love for you to stay and hear your, you know, be part of
Oh,
it.
that's what when you first asked me,
Right.
you said, even though you're not gonna be on the
Right.
board, would you stay on the committee?
And you said, yeah,
Yeah.
No,
had
I just-
understood that.
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
okay, so then I just wanna make sure we're okay, but John, are you willing to be a voting member of the art committee?
I do have a degree in art and design, so
Oh,
yes.
never mind.
Good, it's good.
Okay, so with
Yes.
that, okay, so John's taking over for MJ, whose term is up in January 2024, so.
But it's-
I think that the policy, if the policy committee would be so kind to review. So that.
All
we-
those parameters.
So that.
Because they were a
moving
little,
forward, we
they,
can- Yeah,
it turns out in working with them, they end up being a little restrictive,
Right.
especially because we had the
Right.
pandemic.
and,
when this was done, we didn't know what, I mean,
It was,
we were trying to envision what this would be,
Right.
and now we've had experience.
You gotta be flexible.
yeah,
right, and you know, you know, like, we didn't know where the art was gonna hang, we didn't know what kind of art we were gonna.
we
get
didn't
in
even have a
here.
building at the
Right,
time.
and so I was, you know, trying to make sure that everything would stay, you
The
know,
building wasn't even finished yet.
right,
So Noelle, she.
right. That's the other thing. She's
So
actually
was
done
your
this month.
question whether voting members could exhibit, is that why you were asking about
Yeah.
Noelle?
Yeah. No, there was never anything, there was nothing discussed that you couldn't exhibit if you were a voting member of the committee. So, yeah, that's, if she would like to, she, you know.
Would there ever be a chance we could get, Doug Peters back on the committee? Did he go off forever and ever, or would he come
He
back?
said that he would,
You consult, that's it.
Consult.
That's it.
He's real good. He's been
Yeah,
a tremendous help to us, no
if,
matter what.
right, if
Very
we have
knowledgeable.
issues, we can call him and, or I can
Mhm.
stop by and he's happy to help, but.
He's helped us draft, he's helped you draft some of the.
Yes,
terms for
yes,
the
I asked him to, like,
agreements
look
with
over
artists.
Things, and he's really good about like getting back right away and making changes if we done with that. The artist, the exhibit agreement, he looked it over, and said, changed one word, and that was it.
So the minutes are gonna show that his name came up, I don't know how many times. They are.
So, I would think that, Noelle should be approached, excuse me, I can do this and ask her if she'd like to be, extend her, position on the committee. Or do you want the, committee, the policy committee to like review everything and then decide what to do about that, because Noel's term is up actually this month.
I don't, well, what does the board think? And the
She
public?
wants to
Who's
stay
the
on
board?
it, keep her on.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
So is it okay if I?
What do you,
ask her?
Mary Jane, what did you
Well-
put your hand up?
Having been on the policy committee and knowing how it can,
Take time.
not as long as Congress passing something,
Right.
but you know, it's nothing that's gonna happen between now and the meeting on the 19th. I say leave her on.
Right.
If she's willing to stay on and just go from there.
So based on what I'm reading here, so if you started with a 3-year term, you're gonna, your second term is a 3-year term.
Correct,
Okay.
right,
Or 2,
right,
it started as a 2.
correct. And that's why I listed it this way, so we could be clear.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, though, I think, like Mary Jo, you would need to ask Noel. I can't ask her.
Okay.
Because it's the board that appoints these people. The only thing, the committee can decide on who's the chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. According to what this says.
And I don't know that. I think I would like to bring up before the policy committee, I'm not sure that we need a treasurer,
We don't really.
I don't
I don't
think
think
we
we
do.
have any money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I.
So, how you got out of a job?
yeah, I much, I think we were just following the normal. Okay, so that's the end of my report. Any other questions that I can answer? Well, I really do want to thank you for letting me go first.
Well, we wanna thank you. We wanna thank you for the
Good job.
and the job that you're doing, and I would add that Michelle Montour, installs all the exhibits herself, she comes in here and climbs up on the ladder. That's all.
And
And
she-
risks her life.
Down
Yeah.
there, she was contacting people from the last show,
Right,
waiting and for them to come pick up their stuff. And if they were out of town, she'd store the stuff at her house
Yeah.
until they could. She did quite a bit.
she does a
Well,
lot.
that's-
We wanna thank you for what you do and for all this extra. We really appreciate it. And, we'll look forward to the art committee meeting so that all the members of that
Right.
body can, but as a board, we appreciate what you do. And Joy, you might appreciate the fact that now the first committee report and the longest and the most interesting and the most questions is the art committee and not the
Right.
building committee.
Right,
Because I have nothing to report.
Yeah.
Mary Jo might have something. though.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for letting me be. the-
You're certainly welcome to stay for the whole meeting, but you don't
You
have.
know
to.
you want to.
Well,
We'll see you. Thank you so much.
Did you want to say something? No?
Yeah, I always
I
wanted
just wanna say, go home and have a glass of wine.
I'm going to, thank you.
Oh,
You think I'm looking at my watch for it, still, I can still do this before I go to bed. Okay.
Thank you so much. The next committee in alphabetically, we're all here.
I really don't have anything.
The bylaws committee is item B. I mean, the building
We didn't have
committee
a
is
meeting.
item B and it has no.
Nothing to
So-
report.
So
Say
Joy gets to, it's only fairness because she's had to carry such a load for so long. John, the bylaws committee.
Under number C, I have nothing.
Nothing to
Number
report.
C.
The finance committee, however, has some items for us, so I will turn this over to Tom
So,
and Mary Jo.
Yep, so included in your packets is the June 30, 2022 audit. And I'm happy to say that once again, we have a clean audit report with no findings. We received an unqualified opinion, which means that there are no adverse comments. It doesn't include any disclaimers regarding our audit process, so everything is great there. Our financial records and statements were fairly and appropriately presented, so. I've had a chance to review the document, so I'm gonna try to go through it quickly. Mary Jo, please interrupt me if I miss something that's important. So I can kind of walk you guys through this. So if we go to page 2, it actually indicates that the auditor's responsibility is to be objective and to obtain a reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinions. And again, as I indicated, there were no issues with their audit. If you go to page 4, they indicate our financial highlights. And here they mention that the library building construction project is essentially complete. And the remaining unspent construction funds will be transferred to the library's debt service fund in the 22-23 fiscal year. And then we start with the statement. So on page 5 is the statement of net position, which is similar to a balance sheet, at least in my world. So here you'll see our total assets, our total liabilities, and our total net position. And what they're doing here on this page is they're comparing last year to this year. And you'll see that the year-over-year increase is the $592,677. So it means that we are actually showing a greater increase in the amount that we have. And then the next is on page 6 is the statement of activities, which is kind of like an income statement. And again, they did a year-over-year comparison. And you'll see that for our total revenues, we were up 23,000, and for our total expenditures, we actually spent $158,000 more, which is to be expected because we're still trying to get past COVID infection and get to a more normal process here. So year over year, you'll see that there's actually a reduction, but that's because a lot of our staff during the prior fiscal year were working full time, so we're kind of getting to a more normal process. At the bottom, they start talking about our funds. As you all know, we have 3 funds, and none of those funds were overspent. And at the bottom, it says for fiscal year ending June 30, 2022, the general fund revenues were actually in excess of our expenditures by $528,000. Moving to page 7, the only thing I kind of wanted to point out here, and I went back and kind of with the prior years so I could compare it, but they have the capital assets and debt administration.
I didn't understand them.
Yep. So it looks like for fiscal year 22, our purchases were $178,000, and I kind of was curious as to what they were prior years. So it was about the same last year. It was $184,000.
But it says it's for the construction of a new library.
No,
There will be,
Yep,
That's a different.
that's a different.
That's a different-
That's the next sentence.
okay,
Yep, the first one is basically just what we purchase in terms of books and periodicals
Yes.
for the library. And the number that you see here is consistent with our number in 21. And then it's actually a lot more than what we spent in 2019, because that was kind of what pre-pandemic numbers.
pre-library,
Yeah.
pre-new library.
And so then, John, what you were referring to is the next sentence, which talks about that there was $490,000 for purchases in connection with the construction of the library for that fiscal year.
it says the year 2020 though, 2022, June 30th, during the year ending. And the beginning of the statement.
I saw that. I wondered maybe it was a typo.
Wait a minute.
construction of a new library. Computers were purchased.
It's,
During the year, just like during the year that ended.
Yeah, so
Which was
during
the-
June
Yeah.
30th,
Yeah.
2021 to 2022.
That's the end of the.
It's during the fiscal year, during this,
Yeah.
the fiscal year, 178,429.
So like during that period.
Yeah,
What's depreciated, the computers and stuff, $758 is depreciation.
Yep, so that was the, I guess, for all of our
How do
capital
you do that?
expenses.
The auditors do that. We get, we
I
give
never
them,
can
we get,
understand
oh,
that
it's crazy.
but that's
depreciate
in
that
every kind of
every 40
depreciating government too, about the compute, the
Computers, the
technology.
books, everything gets
depreciation.
depreciated.
It doesn't.
The
Yeah.
books get depreciated too?
everything that's a physical thing
Yeah,
depreciates.
The formula of some
they have a
kind.
formula.
But that, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I don't think it ever makes sense
No,
to
it's a
regular
weird formula.
people.
This is people.
Situation go, but you don't know why it is, what it is.
Well, and
but
you-
directionally, it's
If you go
going
on
up.
Amazon, it look it's more expensive.
Yeah, I don't know, of course.
So, and I can do a quick comparison for you. So for instance, depreciation for the year ending 2019 was 152,000. And then, you know, because we didn't have as much equipment and books and, you know, assets as we do.
And it was younger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then for last year, that number was 679,000. So you see there's a considerable jump because we have more assets. And then for this year, it's 758,000. So we should expect to see that go up every year as we build up our assets.
So
So
these, so on
going
this
up
page,
with depreciation actually equates to coming down.
so yeah, so these assets are gonna keep going down because of depreciation.
Right.
Unless there's actually physically more assets
Right.
added to them. Yeah, so you can see that from the asset page that it went down, not 758,000, but that's probably because we added more food.
And then in terms of the computers, last year we only spent $18,000 on computers to see where, for which year we spent like 34,000. We spent twice as much on our computer purchases, so, which is always a good sign because we know that that's a main thing that people come to the library for. So we can actually go to page 9. And page 9 is just more detailed information on the stuff, on the schedules that we've already looked at. So you will see that the total assets and the total liabilities that were in balance here, so the 19,503,000. And then on page 11, in the middle of the page, you'll see the fund balance for our 3 funds. And that total is just over $6 million. Which is pretty close to what it was last year. Well, page 12. This is more information as it relates to our fund balance. So you'll see at the bottom here where they do the comparison between the 2021 fund balance and the 2022 fund balance. So there wasn't much of a difference. It was the 5,971,000 for 21, and then it's just over $6 million for 22. So there isn't a significant change. It's where you'll see like our general fund may have gone up, but then our capital fund has gone down. So it's just overall, though, there wasn't a significant change. That's pretty much it. The rest of it just kind of goes into explaining all the terminology and definitions. And then the back page provided us
On the financial audits, does the company get paid for by the amount of sheets? You like the lawyers do? We're paying $3,700 for this? That's a lot of work, obviously.
Yeah.
More math than I could.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth it.
So, I mean, I think that's a
Well,
real.
We have this company doing.
Put them for a fair amount, they do a good job, but they're pretty, actually, their fee is pretty reasonable compared to some other.
Okay,
Have they been,
Auditors, some-
haven't they been the one doing our audits from the beginning?
Yeah, we've rebid them before.
Yeah, well, I think it's
They
good
know,
to change
yeah, they
your
know.
auditing company.
I know the last
Yeah.
time we did it, one of the auditing companies basically asked us like, what, like, why are you going out for bid again? What's wrong? And I had to tell them, well, there's nothing wrong. And then, so. Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
be sensitive to that too.
Yeah, if you're doing a good job, you'd be offended.
Or changing.
Yeah, so anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
but with, managing money, a lot of times they talk about the more eyes that,
Yeah.
different eyes looking at things and
Let me tell you,
Within the company, that they also change up
and
the
they're,
people that are doing it.
they're bonded too, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
well, I just, very aware of another library that, had a bad auditor
Oh,
for
dear.
a long
Oh,
time.
no.
and Made a disaster of their finances. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
these folks are, but. So they're considering a policy of changing the auditor every so many years. I can't remember what it was.
Sure.
Yeah.
Everyone's competitive too.
No, these are,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the rates.
this looks
Yeah.
like a very thorough
Yeah.
process that they do.
Yep, I thought it was very detailed, and the fact that we didn't have any findings, we actually know that. General and.
thank you, that it was an excellent presentation of the audit. I believe the board does need to act upon accepting this audit report. Is
I
that
make a motion to accept the audit as presented.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Shahevitz and supported by Driga that the audit, as presented be accepted. Any comments, any other questions? It's pretty thorough, it's thorough, but Tanya's presentation is thorough enough so that even I understand a bunch of stuff I never understand, she makes me understand it. Then everybody's ready to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. And there are no nay votes, so the motion carries with no dissenting votes. And this is a really big one. It's a big one for our director every year to have to get this done, and I know she's
It's
happy.
like, all I want for Christmas is the audit.
The audit out of my hair. Our next item of business, is the marketing committee. We're still in our committee reports because, is there anything else from finance committee? Okay, that was a really important report we just had. The marketing committee, Alma, is there anything you want to tell? Nothing. Okay, no report on personnel as a report.
Yes. At the December board meeting, the Personnel Committee submitted the results of the evaluation of our director, Mary Jo Succi. As you remember, the evaluation showed that Director Succi is performing her job at a very high level, and the board members related many instances that supported this praise. At that time, the Personnel Committee postponed recommending a specific salary compensation for Director Succi because the committee was awaiting data from the Detroit Suburban Library Roundtable Survey. This data would show us salary ranges that we could use to make our final recommendation. We received that data and the committee met on Monday, January 10th to review it. Ninth. Sorry, today's the day. To review it, revisit the director's evaluation results and discuss the current financial picture, including the impending changes in minimum wage. We have used all this information to facilitate our determination of Director Succi's salary. Currently, her salary is $91,250. The Personnel Committee is recommending the board vote on and approve a 5% raise that would bring her salary to $95,812, a raise of $4,562.
I make a motion to accept.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and supported that the Personnel Committee report be accepted. Are there any questions or comments? I did attend the Personnel Committee and I commend Linda and Tanya for their thoroughness, and I also commend our director who provides so much good information to help the committee make determinations. There is the motion is on the board and properly moved and supported. All those in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed by saying nay? Well, this motion carries with no dissenting votes, and it is one that it deserves. I think the biggest thing the Personnel Committee has to do is to make Mary Jo accept her raise instead of wanting to plow it back into the program or into her staff, which I appreciate. And there will be discussion of the staff. Is that now?
Yeah.
Do we want, or do you want to do it now?
No, it's good.
Okay.
At the personnel committee meeting yesterday, I presented the results of the Detroit Suburban Library Roundtable Salary Survey. We received the most recent statistics, and I plugged them into our document. This should look somewhat familiar to most of you. This is our salary range recommendations. We had approved, the board had approved this last year. But we had kind of had some old data. We had 2020 data instead of 2021. So this year we've got the latest data 2022, and as I had suspected, there were quite a bit of bump ups to salary at our peer libraries. What this report does is compare what I basically do is pull out the data from the other class 5 libraries, which are libraries that serve similar populations to our library, and average them out. Averaging it out helps to knock out the highs and the lows, because usually they kind of offset each other. So we came up with this document. Also, just kind of looking, I think at one point I had pulled out Ypsilanti as an example. They have a larger population, they're a class 6 library, but since they're one of our neighbors.
For class 6.
I went, I pulled out their information for the library assistant position and the desk tech position, so you guys could see what they are
The
paying.
library assistant is a little bit, so we're union, and then this last contract, they made some absolutes so that every librarian by the end of 3 years would make a certain wage, and every library assistant would make a certain wage within a 3-year. Everybody would be at the same pay, which was an unusual contract. Yeah, so the parapro is actually 1798 to 21. So that was last year. They went up to 1798, and next year they'll be 2101.
So,
Which is very, I mean, you're doing it based on merit, probably.
we're also doing it
like that.
based on merit.
Yeah. Which I think is very
So,
useful.
with the more than likely change to minimum wage is going to be going up to 1303 on February 19th, unless there is a court order or a change in the law. That kind of changes the picture of everything. In addition to that, just trying to be competitive with other, not just the library world, but other industries. Our frontline staff, the clerks down at the front desk, and the library assistants, we want to make sure that they're competitive. So we are recommending $15 an hour for our library clerks and $17 an hour for the library assistants. That's probably one of the biggest differences with this document. Everything else also bumped up all of the other positions.
$15.
$15 for clerks. And then 17 for library assistants.
Which is what
Library
our
assistants,
folks are making right now.
Oh,
both
okay.
of those.
Okay.
Well, 18 for
okay,
library assistants. But almost.
Also, when we were discussing this in the committee, a lot of this work has had to be done because we are a very different library than we were a few years ago. The library in the small building, we have, so much more. So we've had to readjust to make it make sense, as well as update with the time, with what pay goes in during these times.
It definitely is a different economy.
Yeah.
We want to be able to retain, because we have a great staff. We want to make sure.
When does minimum wage change?
February 19th.
Are you getting a facilities clerk or some of these positions? I don't know you have.
The facilities clerk is actually, I've renamed that, it was custodian, but we've got some people who do a lot of back of the house, like helping with the AMHS system that. It's almost like a shelving page kind of type of position with maybe some value added duties, so I just wanted to kind of pull that out. As a potential, and that's something we need to flesh out a little bit better with a better job description. Also possibly having that position be someone who can help help assist with setting up a room for a meeting.
So they would get paid less than a shelver.
They would get paid the same as a shelter. Did I look at it wrong?
Looks like minimum wage, they're getting paid at minimum wage.
They will be the higher of the two numbers, so 1303. Or minimum wage, whichever number is the higher number. I put it like that because I didn't know, I didn't want to put,
Oh,
at the very least, they will be making minimum wage.
but
Or it's minimum wage hasn't gone into effect yet, so I didn't want to put minimum wage yet on this document.
okay, I was just,
Yeah.
the shelving page, they're making $1 more than minimum wage.
No, that's the max, that's the maximum.
Ah, okay.
The minimum is minimum wage,
All
and
right.
the max is,
Got it,
because
because
the shelving page position is kind of designed to be a temporary student kind of position.
okay, sorry.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, John.
I make a recommendation that we accept the salary recommendations for 2023.
Been moved and moved by Jariga and supported by Stoudemire. That the salary recommendations for 2023 be approved by this body. It is appropriate to still discuss if there's any other questions. Want to make sure everybody is
We
comfortable.
got enough money to do
We have
this?
enough money. I crunched the number.
You wouldn't do it if we didn't.
Work question, right?
Me and Tanya were both at the table.
I took my shoes and socks off.
But I do have to say that Mary Jo makes it very clear that in libraries, just like in many other things like schools, it's the personnel. Your biggest, you have to invest in your people.
I think we've got tremendous turnover, and I think if we get more of a schedule, salary schedule higher, we can keep people longer.
That was the whole point. That's what
It's
we was.
really blessed to have such a great staff.
Yeah, and it is appropriate to point out that as minimum wage comes up, then the people that are above that need to make more money than that. So I think all kinds of considerations were made to make this fair. We have a motion on the board, on the table, so vote it now. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. There are no nays. The motion carries with no dissenting votes. It's a very important piece of business that we've taken care of. And a number of very important pieces of business. So that takes care of the Personnel Committee, which usually doesn't have to talk much. Thank you, Linda. And
Once or
thank-
twice.
And thank you, Mary Jo.
Heavy work.
And then the last is the Policy Committee, which at that point, when we put this together, we didn't have a policy chair, but.
Oh, you did, so he got voted.
Yeah, now we do. We do. And our policy chair is Dan. And we have not had a meeting, so.
You have nothing to report.
I have,
Nothing to report. Oh, you're-
That's Mary Jo might have something. I think she does well learning right now.
I am hoping that the policy committee can schedule a meeting between now and the next board meeting. I had, my assistant director Hillary and I had a Zoom phone call last week with our attorney Ann Sarek to button up a few of the last details on the library behavior policy. And so I'm ready to present that and hopefully have a document ready for the board to approve at the February meeting. I'm waiting for Ann to get back to us with, we updated a couple things based upon our phone call and waiting for it to bless it.
Did it get longer?
But, yeah. And basically, and she explained it very well. She said, this is, that 99% of the time you don't ever need your policy. But when you did, it's like an insurance policy. So it is quite a bit longer than our current policy. But it kind of covers all of the potential issues that can come up, so.
She doesn't have a lot on an art committee policy, does she?
No.
There's nothing in
No.
there, so that's one of the things that our.
Then the policy
committee-
committee, I'm hoping also can kind of revisit.
We're
the
gonna have to
policy.
read,
Yeah.
especially all that, in a way, I mean, we didn't see it that way when we did it, but a lot of the things about categories of members is a little too restrictive, which is what came up when Michelle was reporting, because we would be changing, and it might cause an instability, so we need to look at that separately from what the attorney has suggested. So thank you for the update on the policy committee. Dan, you're really moving along.
Really think that.
Yeah, well, we'll be having the meeting, and it's really fortuitous that Mary Jane came to this meeting and has offered to help you, because Mary Jane started the ball moving to revamp, to take another look at these policies, so it would be good for continuity's sake for you to be able to be informed by what had already been started. So,
I have an unlisted number.
I think that takes care of our committee reports, which is the bulk of our work, generally speaking. Now we have some regular business, like approving the money we have to spend to run, which is reported here in our accounts payable list, which is our next item of business.
I
And
have a
you,
question. What
okay,
happened, that very last one, William Craigo, what happened to the wall at some, through the plumbing at some
The
point?
sink was coming off the wall.
that's never good.
So, the township supplied us with a plumber a contractor to repair that, so. So he reinforced everything.
Yeah. Hopefully the other one doesn't do that.
Hmm. I have to go back down there. I haven't been down there for quite some time. It was so cute when we first moved. None of the sinks were coming on.
No. So hopefully this will. Hear it.
Any other questions? Most of these are regular business. It's a lot different than it was when we were in the middle of building. It's just not as complicated.
The O'Neill construction, that is, we paid the final bill, the last, we've paid our final bill, but this was a bill that, they presented to us, I believe, in June, that we delayed payment on.
Because of
because of the
HVAC.
humidification system, but everything's taken care of with that, and so this is truly the last one.
Now, Dan, for your benefit, at these meetings, we approve, regular accounts payable, and then the entire board is presented with all the construction, information. It has been the building committee, the board has empowered the building committee to actually approve all these bills, so technically the always the building committee has gone through all of these in quite some detail, and we're just providing them to the rest of the board and the public for transparency purposes.
That we approve the accounts payable as presented.
A second. There's a motion for us to approve the accounts payable, moved by Stoudemire and approved by supported by Chehevitz. Any other questions on all of these? John, do you have any more questions before we take the vote? Been moved and supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. The ayes have it, and that bit of business is taken care of, and we already did talk about the construction for information purposes, the construction issue. Report. So now we are to our director's report, which is always one of the more interesting items we ever have.
We did have a couple of minor issues over the holidays where we had some alarms tripping up for the HVAC, so long mechanical was out a couple of times to troubleshoot a few things. There are still a couple of parts that they're waiting for. I think that once they get those in, that should solve issues permanently. We were contacted by People's Express that received a grant to provide inter-county transportation, like a shuttle between Western Wayne County and Eastern Washtenaw County. We gave them some temporary approval, knowing that we probably should kind of scope it out and see how it works, and talk to the board about it and talk to the city as well. The grant allowed them to provide a free service. It was Monday through Friday where and it looks kind of like an airport shuttle. Will come to the library, pick up passengers. They have stops at the Reichert Center and
St. Joe
and St. Joe's and the
Transit.
Ipsy Transit.
Right.
Transit Center right
Transit Center,
across from
yeah.
Joyce Library, or a block over from Joyce.
When do they run?
And they run like every 90 minutes.
But it's a question, anyway, we'll be looking more into it.
But
Are
it's
they
a great
paying for
opportunity for senior citizens to, I mean, if someone has transportation issues or.
Apparently it's
Financial
a
hardship.
grant from the state, but when Mary Jo mentioned it to me, nobody seems to be aware of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I've asked her to set, and she and Hillary have set up another meeting for we can talk to this People's Express. But I don't know if that's not library business, I mean, for us
Except
to
for
say
they
they
get
could
stop.
stop in our parking lot, which is co-owned by the city. So I don't know if they have reached out to the city. Certainly what it would be helpful for, especially since they go to the Reichert Center, is for people in this area who need to get to their medical appointments. But if nobody knows it's there, even if they're running every 90 minutes.
So
I don't know.
well, I just get some more information from them and then talk with the city as well, so.
There's some
I
history
think
of it
that'd be
on
great.
On their
Google.
website, yeah.
They
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
they have something on Google.
There's always been that line where it drops. I mean, if people want to come to Belleville, they can't get to Belleville
Right.
either.
Mhm.
And after you get out of Washington County, there's no public transportation
Right.
anymore. And
Right.
it's heavily used in
And there
watching
used to
them.
be at least a bus into Kmart's when there used to be Kmart.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened and the senior
Senior
transportation
I
in
think they
Belleville
might be
hasn't
starting that
happened.
up again.
But I
But
don't know when.
it's really the whole community, you know, Van
Have you
Buren
heard of-
Township as well as Belleville as well, you know.
Hmm?
If people could get to the library, then
It
they
just
could
hasn't
get
been going.
on that
There's
shuttle
not any
and go over.
meetings.
There's
Oh,
another,
no, it's still available.
I don't know. 'cause
What's
the-
that?
The senior transportation.
We're on that committee.
Yeah,
not
we
the
had any
city.
meetings, and I think they fixed one of the vans. Or
The
got a new
city
van.
was gonna take care
Right,
of that.
but
yeah.
I haven't
City
heard, we
van?
haven't had, she usually writes.
And Van Buren has a program too, besides
Yeah, but
Belleville.
we wanted to keep this right in
for a
Belleville.
senior
Yeah, we
transportation,
should introduce that in the program, letting people know, but basically in Belleville, they used to go to the doctors or
Right.
St. Joe's.
It
or-
was working well
Yeah.
until COVID.
Yeah,
well, I was just interested, just for my own interest, if anybody else in this board or in this room that had heard anything about this People's Express.
no,
When did they
I saw
contact you?
one.
You saw one?
Yeah, we cut off the expressway a couple weeks ago, coming from Ann Arbor, and there was one ahead of us, going, you know, headed towards town. I said to Rick, have you seen that before? He goes, no. Since then, I've seen it 2 more times.
And it has come here to the library. It's just like in the last month.
Just getting started.
Kind of started up in the middle of the holidays and not at a time when we could talk about it, but
It's
we're
existed. How
already
long is the
scheduled
grant
to,
Period.
Well, I wanna ask them that tomorrow. Like what
We're
the
having-
Details are.
yeah, tomorrow, Wednesday, we're having a meeting on it.
I mean, it's something that we could both be advertising.
Yeah, and we can be working with the other, we could be civically active and
Post the
reach out, the
schedule.
board could help
Yeah.
to reach out with the other municipal
Mhm.
entities to at least let people know it happens. It would, you know, you'd hate to, these grants come to test things
Sure.
and see whether they'll work, and it's not gonna work if nobody knows about it. We'll have to hope, well, to be continued, we'll have more information.
Okay, what else? Our plans are underway for the library's movie discussion series that the Council for the Arts and the Friends are going to be co-sponsoring. We're looking at, starting that Thursday, February 9th at 6:30 with the movie Double Indemnity. That's a great. So I think that'll be a great one to start with. And then, I invite you to the Friends of the Library are having their annual meeting on Saturday, January 21st at 11 a.m. And the theme is Be a Friend, BEE. The Friends have adopted the beehives on the roof. Bees and the bee take care of it, but the Friends are funding it. And we did actually get honey this year from it that the Friends of the Library were able to sell before Christmas. And supplies were limited and they went very, 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 very quickly. So
And it was very, very, very good.
it was good, wasn't it? I think that was the best honey I ever tasted. I don't. It's to be in, but-
What's it like reading a book?
So I wanted to sell it as be, you know, because we're a library, be smart.
I like that.
So anyway, please, join the Friends at their meeting. If you have time. What else? I think that's. very good. I gave you a-
When will more of that honey, when is it possible that more of that honey will be available?
Well, probably not till
It's
next
all
year, yeah.
fall. It'll take here.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Flowers.
Right now, they're hoping they got enough to get through winter.
Yeah. So I left 2 articles in your board pack. One is just outlining the changes to minimum wage, also the changes to the paid sick leave laws. Those are both going to affect us if they go into effect.
Who's doing the preserving family heritage program?
That's Nikki Pickerel, our new library assistant. She's we're getting a couple programs coming up. So yeah, that should be good. And then one more article about reading fiction. good for your brain, so make sure you read your novels.
Fiction is good for your brain. Good for your heart. A lot of emotions. Any questions for our director?
Yesterday, I went to the, Belleville City Council meeting. And it was, proposed to have, farmer's market here again next year.
Good.
And I told them they won't have to hire, porta johns because they, feel free to use the library, and they really like that. Especially the women in the audience,
Yeah, porta johns are not fun.
you know.
I had a question.
In this public, you can ask your question.
Have you heard how was it Springfield Township Library is doing when it had the flooding?
Oh, it was Oxford,
What's it after that?
did the fire.
Water, a busted water pipe.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
Right, the whole place.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure.
Okay, I just
Okay.
thought, thank you. Okay.
I'll check.
Any other questions?
And just let me know about the People's Express.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think, I really feel like it's more of a board function to try and follow that up than to have, it's, to lay that on the library. It's not really how the library works, it's really how our
So what time's the
town.
meeting tomorrow?
We've got a phone call with them at 11.
Well, it's the
Good comment.
function of
It
the, it's whether the library wants to be a stop.
Yeah,
But
the board interest or the bigger public interest is whether we can help to make it, whether we can or should help to make it successful, which is not something that the library staff should have to figure out. Anyway, I think that's right.
I don't have a problem with Mary Jo figuring.
Oh, well, my thing is, how can they call her up out the blue and now she's gonna be a transit lady, but anyway.
All aboard.
Oh, Then if there's no other questions for the director, we're into trustee comments. And I will start with Linda, our new vice chair.
Yes, I just want to say it was fun tonight to be with all you. And I'm very happy to be back and starting a new year. And it's very hopeful and positive and feeling good about it.
Joy?
I want to thank the personnel committee for all the hard work of figuring it out, and of course, Mary Jo. And Tanya for explaining the audit. Every year we get it explained, but every year I can't remember those same things. Not much good on this finance committee.
Good luck.
But thank you, yeah.
Alma, my dear?
Can we skip? Busy right.
I know, we can always give her the time she needs. That's why she would have been eager to let somebody else be the second. To beat her down for that job.
You can always ask me if you can't be here.
Yeah, Joy did do it before.
But I didn't jump up and down to take it away from you.
Well, not a whole lot to say. Just wanted to welcome Dan aboard, and you'll be a great addition, and thank you, MJ, for coming out into the meeting tonight. That's very, very special. And Michelle, even though she's gone, thank her for all that she does. She's really a hard worker, and so is everyone else on this board, so. Hopefully we'll have a successful 2023, just like we had 2022.
Thank you. Tanya?
I feel like to say ditto, because I think you said everything. But I wanna make sure that we thank Mary Jo for all the work that goes into preparing that audit. And I know we went back and forth a lot on the ranges of the salaries, so I appreciate all the work that you do to make sure we get everything just right. Well deserved raise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, welcome, Dan.
Thank you.
Good, that I need the help here.
I'm gonna need some support.
Did you hear Alma? Clearly.
Anyway, thank you all too. This is the extent of my socialization. This and going to the gym in the morning, so I really appreciate.
I do not believe that for a minute.
Thank you. Dan, this is your
Well,
first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure where to start, but I know, you know, at the beginning of the meeting, you said Happy New Year. I wanted to wish everybody Happy New Year, first of all. The other thing I wanted to say was, thank you for making this kind of a warm environment and pretty easy for me to kind of ease into this new role here. So I'm looking forward to doing my best, and I'm sure I got a lot to learn, and maybe somebody's phone is going to be ringing at some questions. So thank you. I'm excited.
We're excited to have you and thank you very much. Chair comments this time. I just want to say I also am excited not to just be starting a new year, but to be starting a new term on the board. This is the term to enjoy the library. The term before was to build a library, term before was to plan a library. We've been doing so much multitasking, but we can really hone in, and I think that does make for a good fun time, and I enjoy the people on this board. I really appreciate, I have a tremendous amount of appreciation for our judge, Lisa Martin, and I want to thank her for makes starting a new term even more special to be sworn in by Lisa. And with that,
Madam Chair, I make the motion that this meeting be adjourned.
it has been.
Second.
It has been, it needs no support. It is over. Well, we didn't finish by 9 o'clock. Tanya?